Welcome to the edge of Sri Lanka, a place where wild horses roam ancient ruins and the ocean whispers tales of Portuguese sailors, Dutch merchants, and British officers. Far beyond the northern shores of Jaffna, across 35 kilometers of sea in the Palk Strait, lies one of Sri Lanka's most remote and fascinating destination, Delft Island. Just 10 kilometers from Punkuduthievu and Nainathivu, this island stretches 8 kilometers from west to east and 5.5 kilometers from north to south. As approach, the first thing you notice is the silence, broken only by the wind through the palmyra palms. The various government offices such as Divisional Secretariat, Sri Lanka Police, Sri Lanka Navy, Post Office and a local government named Delft Pradeshiya Sabha are serving to day-to-day life of Delft. During the decades of civil war, this isolated remained under government control, serving as naval base. But today, it's opened its doors to travelers seeking a real experience. Standing alone against the skyline is one of Delft's most extraordinary treasures, the giant Baobab tree. This 13.5 perch land, including a Baobab tree, was donated to the Delft Pradeshiya Sabha by retired Gramaledari Mr. Vallipuram Nadaraja for the purpose of tourism in 2019. This African tree is not native to Sri Lanka. It likely arrived centuries ago through maritime trade routes. With a trunk girth of over 15 meters, it's one of the three largest in the country. Its hollow core is so massive that 5 or 6 people can stand comfortably inside it. Not far from the Baobab stands a mysterious coral pillar known as a growing stone. Islanders claim it has risen gradually over decades, now reaching more than 1.5 meters in height. Scientists suggest underground geological pressure. However, there is a more common explanation among Hindu devotees. Upright standing stone with the story of having surprisingly rising from the ground are known as Swayambhu Lingas in India. Thus, not surprisingly, there was built a Hindu temple in close proximity of sprouting stone. Just east of the fort lies a structure so rare, it's become a symbol of Delft. This is the Dutch dove or pigeon cote. In the colonial days, before phones or fast boats, carriers pigeon were the mail of the 18th century. Every landmark on Delft tells a colonial story. Portuguese traders arrived first, followed by the Dutch and later the British. Even today, ruins of forts, court complexes, and coral stone buildings remain scattered across the island. Nearby stands the ruins of the British court complex with the door inscribed the year 1905 still display inscription from the era of King Edward. This isn't tropical rainforest, it's semi-arid landscape, a straight and beautiful contrast to the rest of the island. Across the dry southern plains, a herd of horses moves freely under the blazing sun. These are the famous Delft horses, descendants of animals brought from Arabia by the Portuguese in 16th century. They are the living legacy of colonialisms. Their ancestors were Arabian war horses brought here by the Portuguese in 16th century. Later, the Dutch used the island for horse riding, and in 18th century, a British officer named Lieutenant Nolan tried to breed them here. Today, nearly 500 horses survive here. Though they live in the wild, many still technically have owners. However, they are now protected under government wildlife regulations, and removing them from the island is prohibited. In these harsh coral landscapes, survival is difficult. Yet, these horses endure, symbols of freedom and resilience. Tourism is growing slowly, offering new hope through scenic beaches and authentic island experiences. In that moment, Delft is not just an island, it is a bridge between continents.
Oh.
Sarapiddi is the perfect place to study the coral walls surrounding private properties typical for Delft Island. Fence used as enclosure of the premises are typical for Tamil settlements all over the Jaffna Peninsula. However, coral walls instead of the fence are something special. Their appearance resembles to Irish sceneries more than Tamil settlements. Travelers usually stop at Sarapiddi to walk to the ruins of the stable complex close to the village. Here lies the mysterious giant footprint engraved on the stone surface. The Hindu population of Delft credits Hanuman with leaving the footprint in Sarapiddi. The monkey-faced Hanuman was the helper of Rama and came to Sri Lanka several times, flying through the air just like the Buddha. According to some Hindu beliefs, the entire island of Delft had been created by a piece of the Himalaya mountains that the god Hanuman had been carrying when returned to Sri Lanka. Only the few hundred meters behind the footprint, there are ruins of stables used to herd the horses during the colonial period. It is said those stables were already constructed by the Portuguese and also used by the Dutch, who certainly used Delft Island for horse ride. However, it seems more likely that those remaining walls and pillars that can still be seen today are from the early British period. The stables at Sarapiddi were probably built in the early 19th century by the British officer of the island, Lieutenant Nolan. Due to its wall, Sarapiddi became the center of the Nolan's activities. Probably the Irish styles of compound walls was inspired by him to they not only enclose inhabited premises but also divide the fields just as in Ireland. Delft once played a significant role in horse breeding and trade. Due to tropical conditions, breeding horse in South Asia was challenging. Delft's history stretches even further back. On the northwestern coast stand the Cholan ruins, three ancient Buddhist stupas dating back to the Anuradhapura period. Built entirely of coral stone, these stupas are unique in Sri Lankan monastic architecture. The largest stupa has a circumference of 32 meters and sits elevated on a platform surrounded by smaller stupas. Long before colonial powers arrived, it is believed that Delft was part of an active Buddhist landscape. Located near the present Delft Hospital and just 2 kilometers west of the port, this coral stone Meekanam Fort once protected the island's natural harbour. Originally constructed by Portuguese and later used by the Dutch, a massive double wall cuts the building in half at ground level, not allowing communication between two parts, one of which may have served as an arsenal. The other one included a prison, a small square room at the corner. The rooms here were fewer and much more special. The entire design, of course, was quite common in defensive structures. The Dutch, after taking over the fort from the Portuguese, did not change the structure on a large scale, but they built an additional barrack a few hundred meters further east and surrounded the small garrison compound of almost 200 square meters by its own separate enclosure walls. The stairway of the fortress building runs through the double walls. All 5 rooms of the ground are without windows in order to avoid invasions. The area was used for administrational purposes too, and therefore is also known as court complex. One of the barrack rooms can still be seen, though part of the wall have fallen apart. At first glance, Delft appears simple flat land, dry shrubs, palmyra palms, coral stone walls, but behind this quiet landscape lies a powerful story of colonial empires, scared legends, wild horses and resilient island life. Delft Island is not about luxury, it is about experience. A journey across the sea, a journey through time, and once you leave, a part of Delft always travels back with you.